Torrance Promenade, formerly Old Towne Mall, is a shopping mall in Torrance, California that opened in 1972. Were you a kid, teenager, adult, parent, or grandparent living in Southern California and would frequent those malls in your area? Were you a mall rat like me, where you spent your formative years people watching, socializing, or shopping at those iconic malls? Let's take a stroll down memory lane and relive those moments of yesteryears. So let's take a deep dive into the history of that mall in your neighborhood. Please leave a comment or a memory of this mall and stay tuned until the end. I want to see if you were paying attention to my video. Thanks. Perhaps the most unique shopping complex ever built in Southern California was the Old Towne Mall, which was developed by an entity known as Lincoln Realty Old Towne. It replaced a large part of the industrial area, which had been Union Carbide. The Jenkins and Grist firm of Pasadena designed the facility. Old Towne Mall was built on a 19-acre parcel located 13 miles southeast of downtown LA in the South Bay suburb of Torrance. Fully enclosed, the complex measured 1,600 feet, or a third of a mile, from end to end. Developer Robert Brindle described his concept for Old Towne Mall in Torrance as a recreational retailing. The $30 million, 314,000 square foot enclosed mall was located at 19,800 Hawthorne Boulevard near Del Amo Boulevard, initially housed 142 merchants. It was predominantly a single-level structure with a small upper level on its north end. There were no large department store anchors. However, the mall was connected to a shadow anchor, Kmart. This one-level 90,000 square foot store occupied 8.5 acres. It opened for business on October 1st, 1971. From the start, it was different. Stores had distinctive fronts that were designed to make each seem like an individual attraction to shoppers traversing the center's cobblestone main walkways. The Old Towne Mall in Torrance reminds me a lot of the Forum shops found at Caesar's Palace in Las Vegas. Old Towne housed nearly 200 restaurants and boutique-style stores. There were also free entertainment and several carnival-type rides. Old Towne Lane, the main shopping concourse, was flanked by storefronts decorated in styles of the Old West and 1890s America. This brick-paved mallway included old-fashioned park benches, live trees, antique street lamps, and restored cable car. Tenants began opening for business on October 9, 1972, with a three-day-long grand opening commencing on November 17th. Most retail stores were local mom-and-pop type operations, but national chain stores included Orange Julius, The Athlete's Foot, and Buster Brown Shoes. Free entertainment was provided 7 days a week. There were street magicians, a singing Keystone Cop, ragtime piano players, banjo ensembles, folk singers, Dixieland jazz bands, pantomimists, the Old Town Singers, Mr. Mustache, and Spots the Clown. On the south end of the mall was a sunken puppet theater. Other attractions were the Bonanza Shooting Gallery, the Sega Center Video Arcade, bumper cars, and a mini golf course. At first, the mall tenants were small businesses with no major anchor stores. They included specialty shops and individual food vendors. A 20,000 square foot area, known as Artisan Way, housed silversmiths, goldsmiths, metal sculptors, potters, glassblowers and etchers, weavers, watchmakers, jewelry craftsmen, and other skilled workers. Antique streetlights that once lit Long Beach streets were brought inside. It also had a fully functional carousel for kids, which were all part of the mall's ambiance. And speaking of that carousel, the main focal point was the double-decker Denzel carousel right in the center of the mall, just inside the main entrance. The horses on the top level of the Old Towne weren't jumpers, they were just rocking back and forth. It featured the typical assortment of actual and mythical animals. It had small swings on the upper level where you could catch a little air and screw up your balance. Special events included everything from dance marathons to frog jumping contests, bingo games, and arm wrestling tournaments. A Civil War reenactment was held in the parking lot. A turn-of-the-century wax museum opened in November of 1973. At Christmas time, elves played by real little people greeted customers. Art festivals were a constant, as well as concerts, which featured all different types of music. Space on the south end of the Old Towne was reconfigured as the mall's first motion picture venue. The Mann's Old Towne Mall Theater, a 4-screen operation, showed first features on December 19, 1975. 2 additional auditoriums opened on May 25, 1978. You may have remembered some of these stores: the Athlete's Foot, Belgian Waffle Cafe, The Book Experience, Buckle Gallery, Carousel Gift Shop, Che's Bar Specialties, Chilbo's, The Corral, Dimensions in Stereo, Ellen's Floral Crafts, The Eyelash Place, Good Guy, Jugs Candies. Either it was the Mama or Papa Paisano's Pizza, Leland's Costumes and Gifts, Libby Ann's Gift Shop, The Malt Shop, Mann's Theaters, Music World, Old Hickory Barbecue, The Orient, Petite Pretties, Samantha's Porch, Scorpio Shop, Troy's Chess Shop, The Ultimate Dog, Village Fashions, Vogue Fabrics, Whispering Flowers, Ye Old Pharmacy, Sega Center Arcade at the north end of near the food court. Another mall shopper said their favorite restaurant in the mall was Fritzenkotter's, across from the bumper cars. The Old Towne Mall also opened with 10 indoor rides. Fantasia was a 2-story overhead ski lift conveyance funhouse ride located 1/3 of the mall from the north end, with a rotating barrel gag that always had pennies rolling and dropping on unsuspecting riders, and a little scummy river bisecting the upper level and a waterfall beneath the lower level car storage area. Most of the effects were large, plush animals nailed to the floor or the walls. One person remembers it being no more than a 2-minute ride was $2.50. It opened when the mall debuted and closed in 1984. The Haunted House, the Pretzel Dark ride, lasted from 1980 to 1982. It was directly across from the shooting gallery and had only a handful of run-of-the-mill gags, including the big black bat on a garage door opener. It was closed during the week because no one rode it except naive tourists on the weekend. There was also another ride called the Buzzy Bee Ride that worked like something like the Dumbo ride at Disneyland. By the early 1980s, the mall's fortune had taken a turn for the worse. Old Towne was in a pronounced state of decline. In November of 1982, its proprietor, Umet Properties Corporation, started a $3.4 million renovation. During the remodeling, the marketplace and adjacent space on the north end of the mall was gutted and rebuilt as 3 big box type department stores. In March of 1983, Dayton Hudson's then new 25,800 square foot store, called Plums, was one of the 4 stores opened by the chain. The owners brought in 2 new large stores, a Marshall's and a 28,000 square foot Federated Group Superstore, both of which opened in September of 1983. Plums, the elegant discounter, proved to be a retail-based flash in the pan. The 4-unit chain was acquired by Ross Stores, Incorporated, in February of 1984 and was closed. The Old Towne Place location reopened under the Ross Dress for Less banner on May 16, 1984. With the completion of the renovation in January of 1984, the Old Towne Mall was renamed Old Towne Place, which is often misprinted as Old Towne Plaza. It was an attempt to reflect its updated image. The changes didn't seem to help the mall to survive in an increasingly competitive marketplace that included the nearby Del Amo Fashion Center and the South Bay Galleria. In February of 1986, Old Towne Place, which by now included a large Federated Group store and a Ross clothing store, was put up for sale. Overwhelming competition from the two large malls were part of the reason for Old Towne Mall's financial troubles, adding that the mall's attempt at nostalgic early 1900s design was at that point outdated and long overdue for a facelift. Patronage at many of the smaller stores inside the mall has decreased substantially, which had led to a high vacancy rate. One former employee at the mall said, "This should be called the Ghost Town, not the Old Town." The mall itself remained on the market for 2 years. BPT paid $6.7 million for the mall in November of 1989. In 1989, the Federated Group electronics store closed. The electronics and appliance store Silo replaced Federated Group. By March of 1989, after years of being overwhelmed by two of the Southern California's most successful malls, the Del Amo Fashion Center and the Galleria at South Bay, owners of Torrance's Old Towne Mall decided that they would convert the financially troubled mall into a commercial strip. At that point, 23 of the mall's 67 stores were vacant. In the past, the Old Towne Mall had not been able to bring in substantial percentage of the shopping traffic generated by the two major malls, which were about 2 miles apart on Hawthorne Boulevard. BPT Torrance Associates, the new owners of the 314,000 square foot mall, were given unanimous city council approval to remove the interior walkway, create an indoor parking lot, and redesign the exterior. Part of the $40 million facelift included the removal of the roof to convert it into an open-air shopping strip with all tenants facing Hawthorne Boulevard. The shopping center, which would be reduced in overall area by 13,000 square feet, would don a new facade resembling a European street scene and would be renamed the Torrance Cityplex. It would keep its movie complex, Kmart, Ross Dress for Less, Silo, and Marshall's. Only the carousel remained from all of the earlier attractions when the remodeling was completed late in 1990, but it operated only until 1992. Originally, the reworked mall was to be named the Torrance Cityplex. This moniker was never implemented, and in January of 1990, the facility was officially renamed the Torrance Promenade. The $40 million redo was complete by late 1990. The multiplex was renamed as the Mann's Torrance Promenade 6 on January 17, 1991. The Power Center now encompassed approximately 270,000 leasable square feet. In late April of 1994, the carousel was crated up and shipped out to the Eastwood Mall in Niles, Ohio. In 1995, Silo would go out of business and close. Kimco Realty acquired Torrance Promenade in November of 2000. It initially struggled with empty stores, but the arrival of tenants such as Trader Joe's in November of 2002 led to increased traffic, and it began to thrive again. In January of 2012, Kmart, a charter store since the beginning, closed. The vacant building was divided 3 ways. A 50,000 square foot Orchard Supply Hardware welcomed its first customers on September 1st, 2012. This grand opening was followed by one for a 23,000 square foot Home Goods, which was held on September 13, 2012. The remaining area was reconfigured, and a 30,000 square foot Walmart Neighborhood Market debuted on July 17, 2013. Sears Outlet operated a 43,000 square foot store between 2009 and they closed in March of 2017. In 2018, Orchard Supply Stores went out of business and closed. Today, the Torrance Promenade contains 19 store spaces with 5 peripheral structures. Congratulations, you made it this far into the video.
When I find you.
Pop quiz, hot shot.
So let's see how close you were paying attention to my video. So how many anchor stores closed in this mall? Five. Give yourself a hand. You were paying attention. Thanks for watching. Thank you for watching. If you like this content, and if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Thanks.